Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Cooper of Cooper's Mobile Mechanics and you're joining me on a very hot Monday morning. It's going to be about 31 degrees today. So luckily we've got a pretty simple day to start the week off. So I've got a BMW 5 Series to start with a major service and brake fluid change. And then later on I've got a BMW and that's for a brake reaction arm on the front. And then I'm going to spend the afternoon hopefully catching up on all the admin work and everything. So if you haven't seen the channel before, basically what I do is just film various jobs throughout the week as a mobile mechanic, just showing you sort of the ups and downs, all the extra bits that go into it as well, like all the admin work and picking up parts and all that sort of thing, as well as trying to show you quite a few interesting jobs that I do. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, if you haven't subscribed already, please do, and keep up to date with more content like it. So like I say, start with this morning. I've got a BMW 5 Series. So doing the major service on it. Got brake fluid change. He has also said about the cigarette lighter not working, so I'm just going to have a look at that. Probably just a fuse. In which case I've got some fuses in the van that I can just pop in there for him. So you can see there the service lights we've got on. Got the brake fluid, engine oil and vehicle check. So they'll all be reset as part of the services that I'm doing. It has got the vehicle inspection light on as well, which is the MOT light. That should have been done when I got MOT'd last year. I've just had a look, and it was done in November 2024. So, I mean, I'll do it for them, obviously. But really, it should have been done when I got MOT'd. Obviously, if I leave that, I'm going to service the car, and then he's going to come back and say, "Oh, I've still got the service lights on." When in actual fact, it's the MOT light. And I'll go through one by one, reset each one of these as well. Alright, they're all done. I've read the fault memory, reset the service lights and everything. Now I'll crack on and do the service. So the first thing I'm doing is brake fluid change. Now, particularly when you're a mobile mechanic, you kind of want to try and plan my job so that I'm going to be working as efficiently as possible. So with the brake fluid change, what you want to be doing is the rears first and then the fronts. So ideally you want to do furthest away from the master cylinder, so you do passenger side rear, then driver side rear, then passenger side front, then driver side front. And obviously if I jack the car up and started draining the oil first, I would then need to jack the rears up, do the brake fluid change first, and then jack the front up again to do the fronts, or try and jack it up and hold it all on 4 axle stands. But what I tend to do is do the rears first, get it all jacked up, and then I'll come under. So I've got it cracks off here, so that's draining the brake fluid out of this passenger side rear. And then while I'm under here, I'll do all my checks, do my tyre and my brake measurements, check all the suspension components, and obviously go ahead, do the driver side rear, and then I'll jack up the front, drain the oil, and while the oil is draining, I'll do the brake fluid change on the front. For me, that's just a process that I found works best for me to make me as efficient as I can. Obviously, other people may have different ways of doing it, but yeah, that's just mine. As far as you can see all bubbles coming out of the brake fluid there. That's not because there's air in the system, that's purely because the end of my pipe has got a little split on it, so it's kind of drawing air into the pipe as it's draining. So it looks like there's a load of air coming out of the braking system, but it's not. Now the brake fluid change is done on the rears. I've got the front jacked up. Now I can start draining the oil. So the filter is hidden under here. I'm going to be changing the air filter anyway. So this, to gain access to the filter, I'm going to take all of this off and put it out of the way. Like I said, I'm going to be changing the air filter anyway. So I'm going to do that at the same time, cut the oil filter off and get underneath it, drain the oil and do the brake fluid change at the same time. Fuel filters on these, bit of a pain. One of the worst BMW fuel filters to do, to be fair. You've got to take the main under tray off, which as we know has got a million screws on, and then ideally take this under tray off, or at least pull it down like that, and then just got to take the pipe off there. Got a little bracket with a 10mm nut holding it on, and then over there's like a horseshoe shaped clip. Pop that out and get the filter off and swap it over. So when I talk about ups and downs of the job, this is a prime example. Gone to the next job, to go and do a suspension arm on a BMW. Strip it all down, get the part out, and I've been given the complete wrong part, wrong arm. So try and phone up BMW to sort it out. Of course, they don't answer the phone. Try them about 6 or 7 times, don't answer the phone. So I've got to drive down there, drive over to BMW with the old part in my hand, show them and say, this is what I need. Turns out when they quoted it for me, he put the reg in wrong. So it was for a complete different car, it wasn't even for this one. I said, right, sound, just give me the new arm. Yeah, we're not going to be able to get it until tomorrow. Oh, brilliant. So now I've got to wait until tomorrow. So I've just had to come back, put the old arm back on so that the customer can use the car, waste my time, and then I'm going to have to go and get the right arm tomorrow and find somewhere in between all my jobs tomorrow, probably work late. I'm going to have to come back and do this job all over again. So yeah, complete waste of time. Well, first job on this Tuesday morning, Volkswagen Tiguan. This is one that I came to have a look at a couple of weeks ago. So I've come to repair the driver's side front wheel bearing and wheel speed sensor. So what he was complaining of is, if I just put the ignition on, it's coming up saying the driver's side front tyre loss of pressure. So obviously I started by checking the tyre pressures, they were all fine. On this system, the tyre pressures, rather than having a sensor in the tyre like a lot of them do, it's all worked off the ABS sensor. So I got the computer on it, had a look, and there was a fault stored for the driver's side front wheel speed sensor. So I started having a look into it, and I'll show you what I found. So when I pulled out the sensor, the wheel speed sensor on this driver's side, I did spot just in there, there's a big crack. That's on the pickup ring on the back of the wheel bearing. So that pickup ring there is what your sensor will monitor, basically. Obviously you can see there's a big crack. There was a couple of them as well. So we've come here to replace the wheel bearing, which will come with the pickup ring on it. We're also going to replace the sensor as well, just in case, because as that cracks and swells up, there is risk of it damaging the sensor. So we're just going to do those two now, and then hopefully that should cure his fault. So replacing this wheel bearing is the same process as the Golf that I showed you on a previous video. So I'm going to get the brakes off, get that central bolt out from the drive shaft, 3 nuts under here for the lower arm, everything out of the way, and then there'll be 3 bolts from the back. Once you get the drive shaft out of the way, there'll be 3 bolts on the back holding the wheel bearing in. So you can see there, the crack there, it's actually got 2 cracks. And you can't slide this around. So it's no wonder I had a fault. Well, you can completely take it off, look, it's just falling apart. So yeah, so it's no wonder that, oh, there's another one. It's no wonder that it was bringing up a fault for the wheel speed sensor. Right, so that's all done. We've just made sure all the tyre pressures on all 4 tyres are okay. Reset the light, the tyre light on the dash, and then just erase any faults that were still stored in there. And now, hopefully, that light won't come back up, and that warning, sorry. Yeah, that's looking good. That would have come up by now. So I'll give it a quick drive around the block, make sure everything's working as it should be, and then move on to the next job. Just while I'm here, actually, I'll just quickly show you another fault that they were talking about. So they were also saying while driving, sometimes the instrument cluster will just completely go blank. There'll be nothing on there. I think maybe the radio goes off as well. And then sometimes I get a warning up saying instrument cluster fault or something like that. So when I was here before diagnosing the TPMS fault, I also had a look in the instrument cluster. It has got a fault in there. Basically it just says control module faulty. It's a static fault, won't erase. There is a technical bulletin for this particular fault, which says to replace the instrument cluster. I think they've either got a sort of upgraded one or like a superseded part, something like that. So I think what we're going to do at some point, I'll come back here and we're going to take the instrument cluster out and send it over to see if we can get it repaired to saving a lot of cost, really. Obviously if you get a new instrument cluster, Say you got it from Volkswagen, a new instrument cluster would be probably about £1,000 at a guess, and then it would need programming into the vehicle as well. Whereas if we take this one out, you've just got sort of the labour of taking it out, send it over. I think it's about £350 or something for them to repair it. They'll then send it back and we can put the old one back in. It won't need programming, so it should be sort of half the cost really, at least. So that'll be something that we'll probably book in a couple of weeks. The only thing is, doing it that way, it means the car's going to be off the road. I think they say it's around about 5 days or a week turnaround time. So they've got to come here, take the instrument cluster out, and then they can't use the car for 5 days or a week or however long it is. And then once they send it back, so I'll probably book them in. I'll book 2 slots in for them. I'll book one slot in for them to come and do it, and then we'll already pre-book another slot for me to come over and put it back in. Because otherwise, like at the minute, I'm booked up for 3 weeks. So otherwise, it will be a case of me coming over, taking it out, and then if they contacted me once the instrument cluster's back been delivered, then it'll be sort of 2-3 weeks from there, which doesn't really make sense. That means they'll be without their car for 3 weeks or so. So yeah, we'll sort that out for another time, maybe probably in a couple of weeks. So that one's done. Next job is frontless and pads on a Kia Sportage. I think what I might do on the way is go and pick up the lower arm on the BMW that was wrong yesterday. Go and collect that. I'll go and do these brakes on the Kia, and then I've got a Volkswagen Polo. That's for the water pump thermostat housing. That was one on a previous video I showed you that was leaking. And then at some point today, I might head out later on in the evening and go and do that lower arm. See how my day goes really. Right, so I juggled my jobs around a bit today. So I went for did the simpler jobs daytime while it was really hot, and then went home at about 2:30. Stayed at home, did some admin, and I'm back out this evening to come and do the thermostat and water pump housing on this Polo. Just while it's a little bit cooler, a bit more manageable. Right, so let's get a couple of bits of the intake out the way. Get some of the wiring loom out the way. It's taken off this sort of a cover here. So that is your camshaft. There's a little belt on here which goes onto the water pump. So we're going to have to slip this belt off and change it. We've got all the coolant pipes off. There's about 4 of them, 2 down here, 1 up there somewhere, 1 or 2 down here. Now, just got a load of T30s scattered around all over the place. Get those out, and then that should come out. Right, so this is what it looks like with it all removed. So the belt just goes over here. You can just slip it off. There's no tensioner on it or anything. You can literally just pull it off. And this is the old one that I've taken off. When you spin it up, hopefully you can hear that. So the bearings have just completely collapsed in there. So I would say that's probably where it was leaking from, through here. What I might do, just out of curiosity, is split the water pump from the housing. So you've got little T30s here. I might just take it apart, just see what it looks like. So this is the new housing I've got. If you compare it, when I spin this up, it's much tighter. And there's no noise at all. So that's with it all split in half. I was expecting, to be fair, to see this part completely off, but you can shake it all around. It's rattling around. So yeah, I'd say the bearings that are in there have just collapsed, haven't they? But yeah, I just wanted to split it apart just out of my own curiosity, really, see what was going on. We'll put the new one on, get the coolant in, get it all bled up. Before I do that though, got a bit of a scotch pad there. Just going to clean up all the surface around here where it will seal on when the gasket goes on. Let's get that as clean as I can. Alright, Thursday morning, and we've got a wet belt on this Citroen C4 Cactus. So I'm just draining the oil now. I'll swap over the filter, put a new one on, and then I'll take the sump off. Have a look at the oil strainer and see if that's blocked up. Because as we all know, the belts, they like to break up and get blocked up in the strainer, and then you start getting oil pressure faults and things like that. So it's just a routine replacement, this one. She hasn't had any faults. She hasn't complained of any oil pressure faults or anything like that. She just wants to get it done before it becomes an issue. I've got all new genuine bits to put on. I've got oil and filter, and then we've got new timing belt. I've got a new crankshaft seal in there, the timing belt, tensioner and roller, and then we've got an assortment of gaskets. So there's a rocker cover gasket, gasket for the timing cover. Got the water pump belt to put on. I think there's another couple of gaskets in there, a couple of new bolts. So yeah, everything's genuine that's going on today. Right, so the oil's drained. I put new sun plug washer in, torque that up, put the oil filter out, and then I've just got these 8mm around here to get the sump off. There's a big bracket there which I think I'm going to get out of the way. If it needs to come out, or you can get it out without that, taking that off, but yeah, it looks like it'll just be a hell of a lot easier to take it out. So there's 2 bolts back here, there, and then 1 bolt up there somewhere. Yeah, I'll just whip that out of the way, and then I can get that sump off. Alright, sump's off. Strainer, there's a couple of little bits in there, but it's not bad at all. Which I'm not really surprised about, to be fair, because she, like I say, she didn't complain of any oil pressure faults or anything like that. But I'll still give it all a clean up and then get the sump back on. And then we can tackle the belt. So now that the oil side of it is done, all the sump and everything, I'm just letting that sealant dry. While that's drying, I'll tackle the belt. So I'm going to get the airbox off, get the intake manifold off, get the coils out, a couple of connectors dotted around, and then I can take the rocker cover off. And then once that's off, I can then time it up. Obviously got the auxiliary belt to get off, and then there's a cover, crankshaft pulley, everything like that. The intake manifold out the way. Probably about 6 bolts back here, quite hard to see without using a mirror. And then I just took the engine mount off and dropped the engine far enough so I could get it, because it kind of curves around on itself. It's tight for room up here, so I just took the engine mount off, lower the engine enough to get the manifold out. So now I want to get this loom out of the way, and then just got a load of 8mm bolts dotted around here, a couple down there as well, and then I can get the rocker cover off and get it timed up. The manifold's off. I've got the camshaft locking tool in there. It slots over. Once you've got it lined up, it will slot on top of each one. You just hold it down with 1 bolt on each side. And then the crankshaft is locked via the flywheel. You've just got a tool up there that locks into the flywheel. So now that's all in place. I've got the auxiliary belt off and the crankshaft pulley with a water pump belt. Just need to get that cover off there. Take out the sprocket, and then I can swap the belt over. So with that cover off, you can see the tensioner and the idler roller. So I want to detension the belt first, get those out, and then I can get this sprocket off here. It kind of slides out through, and then you can lift the belt from the top. And once all that's out, you should be able to slide the belt up through the top. Like that. If you look at the belt, you can see it has starting to break up. I would say this was caught right at the very right time, because it's starting to break up, but not bad enough to actually start causing any damage. So yeah, not bad. So I've put my new belt on, and then underneath I've got the tensioner in place but not tight, the roller bearing in place but not tight, and also the crankshaft sprocket again, it's in place but it's not tight. There is a locator, like a flat edge on one side, so you need to make sure that's in properly. So I can now turn the tensioner, get that tensioned up, and then I can tighten up that roller, idler roller on the right hand side, tighten up the crankshaft sprocket, and get it all built back up. I've never myself so much in my whole life just then. Just started this up, and it ran for a few seconds, then started going really lumpy, and then the engine light came on. So I quickly turned it off, checked the fault memory, had a camshaft position sensor fault on it. But oh no, thinking, going over through my head, like, I definitely timed it up, it's all right. Checked the sensor, the camshaft position sensor. I just left it unplugged, hadn't I? Plugged it in just for sound. Oh man, that was scary. It's Friday at last. I just got a service on this Toyota Corolla hybrid. The car's 2 years old and it's still under warranty, so we're using genuine parts, genuine oil. Should be a nice, clean, straightforward one. And then the guy's also got a Volkswagen Golf. He's saying the engine light came on. He thinks it might be glow plugs. I think he might put a scanner on it. So I might, if I've got enough time this morning, I'll just have a look into that. He said the DPF light came on as well. But I said to him, if it is glow plugs, there's a good chance that the DPF fault is a sort of consequence from the glow plugs. So obviously if the glow plugs aren't working properly, then the engine's not allowed to carry out a DPF regen properly. So yeah, we'll have a look if we've got time, see what's going on there. So while the engine oil is draining, I'm just going to be going around and doing all my inspection, measuring tyres, measuring brakes, checking all the steering and suspension components. The car, it's a 2-year-old car, done about 12,000 miles. So, I would be surprised if I found anything wrong. However, it's not impossible, is it? We all know that new cars can go wrong. Anyone that's worked in a dealership knows full well that a car that's 1, 2, 3 years old, they can go wrong. They do find problems. So still going to be carrying out the exact same service as I would for every other car. As expected, no issues with the car at all. So just heading on doing the cabin filter now, which is located down there. Set this panel off, similar to like a Volkswagen Golf or something like that. And then just got to pull this out. Have a look, see what it's like. Pretty dirty. Bearing in mind it's only 2 years old, so I mean they do get dirty quite quickly. Compare it to the new one. Yeah, pretty worn, isn't it? Let me just swap the filter over into that housing. It is directional. It says on here which way it goes up as well. It says on the pollen filter which way it goes as well. We can just slide that back in here. Whoop. Then get the cover back on. Back in there. Get this glove box back in. The service all done. Nice, quick, straightforward one. Inspection sheet ticked with a little report for service book stamped. I'll just put a little note on there, genuine parts used. I usually put that on when I use genuine parts, particularly if it's under warranty, just so that they're aware. Obviously, that'll all be on the invoice that I give to them anyway. So yeah, nice, quick, straightforward job for the morning. So I had a very quick look at the Golf. No glow plug faults stored in there. It's just a DPF fault. Fault P245, something like that. Basically saying the DPF isn't able to regen for some reason. Sometimes with those faults you get another fault alongside it, so you might get that fault and then you might get something like an exhaust temperature sensor fault or something like that, which can kind of lead you towards the path of what's causing it to not regenerate. This one's just got that fault stored. So just quickly, I had a look to see if I could do a service regeneration on the computer. Started going through it, and then it wanted to check the differential pressure, and it came up as 0. And then when you increase the revs to 2,500, it stayed at 0. So there's an issue there. Whether it's the sensor, could be the pipes that are blocked, could be a wiring issue to that. Not sure, but like I said, I was just having a very quick look just after I was just servicing his car. So I'm going to rebook him so that I can spend some proper time, check those pipes, see if they're blocked, see if they're split, get a little smoke tester down there maybe, see if there's any leaks on those pipes. probably bring a sensor with me just in case, so at least I've got it there, and then hopefully we can get that sorted, get the regeneration done, and then we can get him on his way. So that's it for me for the week. It's been an alright week, I think, to be fair. What I've had a little issue with that lower arm on the BMW earlier in the week, but yeah, other than that, it's been alright. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Hopefully you've found something interesting, or maybe learned something, I don't know. If you have enjoyed it, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Thank you very much for watching.